Steadily it rises.
Hey, it's ODB, the Lincoln Addict, back with another video. Thank you for those that continue to come here, whether you're just a fan of these cars or maybe in the market in the next year or in the future. Certainly you're going to be able to pick up, hopefully, on some tips that I've continued to share on things that you need to look out for when buying one of these cars. So again, to the folks that continue to come back here, and if I entertain you just in the slightest, I really appreciate it. But for this video, what I wanted to do is hone in on a deep dive that I recently did and talk about the success story with it. So $75,500, this 67 Lincoln Continental convertible sold for, that you can see here. Now, this is a very, very strong price, and I took a quick look back. This is the second highest price for a 67 convertible on Bring a Trailer, according to what I can see. You can also see this if you scroll back. If you just simply, of course, search 1967 Lincoln Continental, you're going to scroll back, and the highest sale was about 2.5 years ago, July 7th of 2022. And it sold for $78,500. This was a super clean car. It had a good amount of documentation with it as well. But again, what I want to do is hone in briefly and kind of give you the update here. 66, 67, they're sometimes folks' favorite years. They're other folks' least favorite years. So we all know the beloved 61, 62, 63. 64, 65 hold a place in a lot of people's hearts, including mine. And, you know, some don't like the flat glass in 64, 65. And then, oh, by the way, you get to 66 and you've got the bigger changes that I've talked about. And that's what we see here. Now, of course, this car, as I mentioned in the deep dive, the biggest thing that sticks out is the wheels, of course, are different. So it has a newer style Lincoln wheel on it. Again, wheels and tires on a vehicle are kind of like the paint in your rooms in your home. If you don't like it, you simply kind of change it, right? It's a little bit of work, a little bit of money, of course. But what I wanted to do here is, we know that it's sold on November 6th. And the cool thing is, of course, Bring a Trailer leaves this content out there so we can kind of go back. Now, I had chimed in. I mentioned this in the deep dive, talking about kind of the AC, because again, this seller was really getting beat up over the air conditioning, and it was like, look guys, AC can be fixed, not the end of the world. Of course, there are some nuances with the Lincoln, totally get it, right? Now, one thing I forgot to mention, and someone asked this, so I wanted to follow up, is I completely skipped over the fact that the air cleaner was modified, so we'll look at that in a moment. But at 426, the bidding was at 42,000, and we can see it jumped up in 2018 was it? Let's see, 426. So 34 minutes later, give or take, it sells, and it nearly doubles in the price, and it gets up to $75,500. Now, I have continued to say that we've seen very, very strong prices, so I'll just reinforce this. I know folks kind of say, hey, the level's going to it's going to flatten off, the economy, this, interest rates and all that. I'm not here to get into all that, but what I can tell you for a fact is that these Lincolns are certainly sought after, and over the past 5, 10, 15, arguably 20 years, the prices have went up tremendously. And I say that because oftentimes people say, hey, I want to sell my car, right? Or there'll be a comment on my Facebook post, and folks will say, hey, I got a car. And what I would say is, sell it on Bring a Trailer. I'm not affiliated with this site at all, but you could see, like, if you had a pretty nice car like this car, you had a little bit of documentation. I mean, I think this could have been even ramped up more with additional restoration photos. I think that would have helped potentially even drive it higher, but certainly this was a nice car, and Bring a Trailer is just a great platform. I do believe that they probably have taken market share from other online platforms. I don't know that as a fact, but certainly if you've watched my videos, you know how passionate I am about their site. And I love how they kind of handhold the individuals that are selling, and they kind of create that story. They get the photo typically of the VIN plate, so we can kind of break that down. Oh, by the way, they break it down for you. So it's fantastic just in general. Now, in closing, like I said, because I forgot to share this, I did want to mention this was one thing that had stuck out to me. And as soon as I finished the video the other day, I was like, wow, I didn't even cover it. One person asked about the headrest. Yes. And someone else chimed in. So thank you. That headrest, I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it. I don't think I've seen the individual bucket seats without this headrest, but I do believe this headrest was an option, and it was only on the passenger side. So again, to the gentleman, the person, if you will, that chimed in on that, thank you very much. The other thing was, and this is not a deal breaker at all, someone at some point has modified this air cleaner, and they've drilled in with a hole saw, more than likely, or something, some sort of tool. Basically, these, in the old school, they called them speed holes, right? Not really sure what they were thinking when they did this, but certainly you can get these air cleaners from what the Lincoln community often refers to as the usual suspects, meaning the usual folks that you would call when you need a part for a Lincoln, like Lincoln Land, right? My friend Tony Bolin sells parts as well, but I always recommend people call Chris, George, and team at Lincoln Land. But this can easily be replaced. There's an air filter in here, and again, I don't know what the purpose of that was, if it just was for looks, or if there was some sort of other thought. I've never seen really anybody do that. On a Lincoln, we've seen modified, of course, air cleaners on plenty of other vehicles. And certainly, I like that they kept it factory, because we have seen some people change those out on the Lincolns. And to me, although I'm a car person, you can see I've got all kinds of pop culture and car stuff. There's an Impala back here. I love car stuff. I love custom cars. I love stock Lincolns. I love everything. But certainly on a Lincoln, when you start to see some of the air cleaners that are more like for a hot rod and things like that, they usually kind of look out of place, right? Because you're used to seeing that typical air cleaner. So I'm glad that they left it. Certainly not a deal breaker. If it was me, I would probably just put a regular one on there. I do like the blue. So it looks good, of course, but that's going to be your preference. Let me know what you think. Are you surprised by the $75,500 price? Do you think it should have went for more? Do you think it was oversold? Certainly, I'm happy for the sellers. I think a lot of times, often people think, in their mind, hey, I would have never paid that for this car. Yeah, but you got to remember, everybody's a little bit different. And the bottom line is, I'm always happy for a seller when the seller gets a good dollar amount for said vehicle. And I've often said to people too as well, put yourself in their shoes, right? When somebody often will chime in and go, "Oh, that was way overpaid." Well, if you were the seller, would you have been going out for a nice steak dinner potentially if you sold your car that you were maybe hoping to get $30,000 for, and you sold it for $75,500? I mean, absolutely. To be that's the great thing about kind of the fair market that we have. So let me know what you think. Take care, everyone, and stay on the rise. I want to give a huge shout out to Tony Boss Bolin. He's got his new merchandise. If you're on Instagram or Facebook, you can find Tony, nickname Boss Bolin, Bolin, and you can message him. He's got stickers, hats, shirts, a few things for sale. Huge shout out to him. Take care, everyone. Peace.